Hi, my name's Cheryl. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm reviewing 3 books from my bookshelf that I love, and they are Expressive Sketchbooks by Helen Wells, If You Can Doodle, You Can Paint by Diane Culhane, and Paint Alchemy by Eva McGill Oliver. I have chosen these 3 books. I just want to go to my notes because all of them seem to me to be very process driven, and they encourage a kind of curiosity and confidence building and the development of skills and building intuition about trusting yourself. And that all of those things combined together, if you have an approach like that, you can't help but find your authentic voice and make work that's authentic to you. And I think all 3 of these artists are great examples of that. And these books would be great to have on your bookshelf as a reference material. So let's get started. The first book I want to talk about is called Paint Alchemy, Exploring Process-Driven Techniques Through Design, Pattern, Color, Abstraction, Acrylic, and Mixed Media by Eva McGill Oliver. It's a paperback book with a soft cover, published by Quarry Books. This book came out in 2018. There you go. So it's divided into about 8 chapters. She gives a brief introduction. She talks about design principles. And then the first chapter starts to talk about how to build a practice with your art. Gives you a little overview on tools and materials, brushes, and different things that you could use. She also talks about sketchbooks and how to develop a sketchbook practice. She takes you through some beautiful warm-ups. She uses a lot of inks, how to use a sketchbook, and other imagery, adding pictures and words and colors and things that you find inspirational. The colors in here, the photographs are big and, colorful and informative, I think. They can give you a lot of great ideas about pages in your sketchbook. Talks about design, the 5 principles of design: balance, proportion, unity, emphasis, and rhythm. Then she creates more exercises, talks about color, keys to design, different elements, about balance. It's just a really beautiful book. How to use collage, landscape, drawing, blind contour drawings, planned mark making, mixed media tools. Her black and white work here is really inspirational, beautiful. Artwork was created with unconventional materials: sponges, straws, spray paint, correction fluid, permanent marker, and wood stain. Coffee, tea. And she gives you ideas for working with other materials, like rubbing alcohol, playing with texture, pattern, space, negative space. And some beautiful examples. Confidence, how to developing confidence. How colors go together. Some exercises for that. And so the back says, Paint Alchemy explores how to build a painting practice. Whether you're a novice or an experienced painter, you'll learn how to create freely by combining a foundation of solid techniques and design principles with an open approach that stays focused on the moment rather than the end result. And I think that's really important. It's like you're building a practice with color, mark making, abstraction, and composition. Mindfulness, experimentation give you a way to really work through some of these things. So I found this book really helpful. I loved going through it and using just even sometimes, I think sometimes in your practice, you may just have these books around you can open them and feel inspired. You can try one technique and it can lead to another and another technique. So that's the book, Paint Alchemy, Eva McGill Oliver, and I did look, it is available on Amazon and other places as well. And another book that I really love is Expressive Sketchbooks by Helen Wells, Developing Creative Skills, Courage, and Confidence. So you see how these themes are very, very much connected. This is a softbound book. This is by Quarry. She says, an expressive sketchbook is a safe playground for your imagination, a place to mess around, play, and experiment, and ways to gain confidence in your abilities as you develop your creative skills. In Expressive Sketchbooks, Helen Wells shares a host of ideas, prompts, tools, techniques, and visual inspiration. How to use color, how to create dynamic and varied sketchbook pages, how to find inspiration in nature and in your everyday life, ways to mix media and art supplies, and on and on. So this book is, this one came out in 2020. It's divided into, I guess, 5 chapters. She defines what an expressive sketchbook is, and there are tons of examples of her own sketchbooks that are just marvelous to look at and very inspiring. And she also, I want to say, is here on YouTube. I'll link to her below. Her videos are great, and she also has classes. So if you ever wanted to dive a little bit deeper in her approach, I think this book is a great starting point, but boy, her classes are great. I've taken a few of them, and I love to follow her videos. She's very excited about sketchbooks, and she will get you excited too. So she talks about the rewards of a sketchbook, and that it's how to create a safe space with it, and it's about the process, not the outcome. It's about creating this springboard for more and more and more visual content that you can make. And I love this quote. She says, meet your own creative vulnerabilities with passion and curiosity. This is Helen. I can't draw. This is one of these things that we all hear people say. Some people say it, and little kids used to draw, but she will get you moving your hand and making marks and being on your own artistic journey and aiming for being playful versus perfect. So she talks a lot about your motivations and your intention, but I did mark this. ask yourself some questions. Describe the art that moves you. What's the subject matter that you're most drawn to? And on and on. What materials interest you? What subject areas interest you? What kinds of things do you like to connect? And what I love about this is that it's by focusing on the positive of what you like, it becomes generative. The glass is always, half full rather than half empty. If you like something, you can keep going. So, and then getting going, she goes over materials. She goes over all the different types of sketchbooks and sizes, art supplies, color, types of ink, vivid or muted. And you can see some of her lovely drawings and the way that she selects an object and works with it over time. Variety in her visual approach. And what you can see is that the well is never empty. You just keep going and keep going. And that's what I love about her sketchbook work, is that it's never ending, She talks a little bit about constraints in your sketchbook. Creating a book that you love. Pick out something to draw on your refrigerator. Create pages that only blue or only orange. Create 3 pages in 30 minutes. Set a timer. I love these kinds of frameworks. It's like putting a hedge around it, or putting yourself into a little creative playpen. This is what you're going to do now, just that. And then you build your muscle that way. So going out into nature, and the pictures are really lovely. And she talks about landscape, mixed media, ink, how to grow your ideas, different themes, collecting things and adding them to your sketchbook, ephemera and things, writing in your sketchbook. So this is, I think, a great addition if you are at any stage in your work. This is a book that I think you can go back to over and over again to find a wealth of ideas and a wealth of that inspiration and support for your work. Okay. And finally, the next book is If You Can Doodle, You Can Paint, Transforming Simple Works of Art by Diane Culhane. This is a softbound book, again, a quarry book. It says, doodle your way into a big painting. Think you're not an artist? Take a look at your notebooks and scraps of paper lying around. They're likely filled with doodles. Like handwriting, these intuitive, there's that word again, marks flow from you naturally and express your artistic ability. This book looks at doodles as treasures from which you can create full-size paintings. You can arrange your doodles. You can doodle in a different size. You can make folded books, incorporate color combinations, and so forth and so on. So the book is softbound. This book came out in 2017, and I think it is still available as a new book, but it may just be a used book at this point. But I have seen it on the internet. So it's divided into 6 chapters, art supplies, doodles, just different exercises, 7 different exercises, enlarging the work, collecting the work, creating a few things like folded books, mixed media, and then they show an artist gallery. So I want to make sure you can see this. So again, art supplies, very basic things. How to collect doodles. Start to collect and treasure hunt and dig around to find your diamonds in the rough. And I think a lot of people love to doodle. It's a great source of imagery that's unique to you. So that she talks about line quality and then making bigger, taking your small doodles that are perhaps on something as simple as a sticky note and then enlarging them. So here she talks about sticky notes for small doodles and then grouping them together. Then working on sheets of paper, rolls of paper, and then making the doodles bigger. Circles and lines, just breaking down marks into basic shapes. Working, doodling while you read, picking the different themes. Start doodling things like chairs and cups and houses. Landscape. Taking a line for a walk. Creating some sewn books, folded books. The colors in this book are really beautiful. So if you like, again, this is a kind of different, a project-based approach. She talks about color, adding mixed media, painting on a grid, themed paintings. Yeah. And then there's a gallery of imagery and from different artists. I think that one of the things I liked about this approach, it's really about noticing, your own internal conversation and creating your own, visual library. And through the process of these sequential marks and doodles and elements, you make these discoveries. And she says it's the opportunity for delight to arise. And that, I think, is lovely and that's true of all these other books too. You'll feel that's what creativity does for it. It's delightful to have a creative practice. So in this book, it's really use what you have, different marks, gentle, slow, and staying mindful. And, who doesn't have a bunch of sticky notes lying around? So they're a wonderful place to start. If you really want to start small, start with a sticky note and just keep going from there. Okay, I hope you have enjoyed these 3 books and you find a way to add them to your library. I think I'll try to link them below, at least something to get you started if you're ever looking for these books. All right, well, thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.